Hello, and welcome to Self-Care is Sexy. My name is Chris, and I'll be your host. We're a podcast that's here to generate and share self-care ideas with each other. Last episode, I shared an interview that I did with a newer police officer who had just experienced her own version of complete injustice and shared the self-care that got her through it all, from traveling to fitness, sleep to softball, to developing a loving, meaningful relationship with her new wife. Make sure you don't miss episode number 140, my interview with Officer Tiff. You can find our podcast, Self-Care is Sexy, on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, and of course at our website, www.selfcareissexy.com. All right, I want to give you a quick preview of what to expect from today's show. So today we're talking about alone time. We're going to be talking about why it's not just important, but imperative for self-care, and give you some tips on how to get that needed alone time if that's a struggle for you, as well as some different ways that you can maximize your alone time to make the most of it. But first, a few quick housekeeping notes. Number one, if you have not yet written a review in iTunes, please take the time to do so now. It helps others find our show, and I would really appreciate it. Number two, want to let you know I've got some extra tank tops and those crew neck t-shirts. They're super soft and great for working out. They're on sale right now for $15 each. You can find them on our website, www.selfcareissexy.com, under the shop tab. Lastly, I want to share with you this amazing self-care resource that I use to help me really get focused on taking good care of myself, and that is the Underbelly Yoga. The host is Jessamine Stanley. She's on Instagram. Go check her out. An amazing person who is really going to help you get to the root of self-care through yoga and breathing and movement. And it's just delicious and juicy. She's got brand new classes coming out every month, as well as a 2-week free trial. So you can test drive it and see if it works for you. But check her out. It's Underbelly Yoga. You can check her out on Instagram. You can Google it. You can look for her linked to my page. She's an amazing resource and very much all about the self-care. All right. Thank you so much. Today, we're going to be talking about alone time. I've got some benefits of taking that alone time, what it can do for you. Of course, I've also got some tips on how to get more alone time if that's a struggle. So we've got that, as well as we're going to talk about maximizing your alone time, how you can make the most of it. But really, this is pretty simple topic today. And I think the bottom line is that everybody needs alone time. So if you've been listening to the show for the last few episodes, there's been this great conversation taking place. And for those of you that are new to the show, welcome. Thank you for joining us. I'm really proud of you for taking this time for yourself to fill your ear holes with positivity and encouragement about self-care, because that means you're headed in the right direction. And I want to give us a quick little recap if you haven't heard the last few shows. So we've been talking about micro acts of self-care, these small little things that you can do for yourself on the daily to take care of yourself first. From drinking more water, do it right now. Like, go, if it's safe and you aren't going to hurt yourself, please take some water right now. It's good for you. To these little acts of taking a walk when you need to, or taking a few deep clearing breaths if you need to. These little things that you can do throughout your day to give you that self-care. But we've also talked about these macro acts of self-care, the big shifts, the massive actions that lead you closer to your authentic self. And when I say authentic self, I don't mean this perfect made-up version of you running around like a robot taking care of everybody else but yourself first. I'm talking about getting closer to the real you. The you that you might hide away with all its imperfections and character flaws and defects, right? The real you that makes you uniquely you. Like the episode that we did with Erica, where she talks about making this massive shift in her life. and how that shift was in total service to her own self-care. So we've been talking about these big things, and we've also been talking about these little things and how they're both equally important, and we really have to figure out, like, when do we need which one when. And right now, we're going to talk about doing none of those. None of the big things, none of the small things. We're going to just talk about getting alone time, being alone. And that might be hard for some of us, for different reasons, whether it's kids or work demands, like maybe now you have 2 jobs, or maybe there's family that's currently dependent on you, that's a new situation, or maybe you're taking care of a sick loved one through this pandemic. Or maybe it's your schedule. Maybe your schedule is blowed out and you are running from thing to thing to thing, even if we're not, even if we're socially distancing and still dealing with COVID. You might still have, calls and back-to-back meetings and things like that. Or maybe it's that you just have this perfectionistic thinking, that you're holding yourself to exhausting standards. But whatever barrier that you have that's getting in the way of you taking some alone time, we can work through it. And you absolutely need to right now. If you're listening in real time, it's January 2021, and the MAGA Trump supporting mob has just stormed the Capitol building and run amok and caused devastation and disruption in our nation's capital. And there is just a shitstorm of activity swimming around us right now in the political culture, in, the pandemic and the uncertainty that's, ensued as a result. And so right now, more than ever, we really need to draw inward and be alone and find some strength for that. Now, I want to start out first by talking about what being alone can do for you. What are the benefits of taking alone time? Because it is uncomfortable for some people. Number one, the biggest benefit from alone time is clarity. You're gonna get some clarity. Even if taking alone time is super uncomfortable for you and you get bored easily, right, and need some stimulation, turning everything off and being quiet and being by yourself is going to give you that, like what alcoholics refer to as moment of clarity. You are going to hit the wall of no more thought when you're by yourself, when you're alone. And we're going to talk about how you set up that alone time so that you don't have your phone in front of you scrolling endlessly, because that is not alone time. What I'm talking about is completely turning off, right? Turn the computer off, unplug it, and be alone by yourself. And what it's going to give you, the biggest benefit it's going to do for you, is it's going to clear out all the drama and the noise and the outside influences, and it's going to give you clarity and focus for yourself. Number two, the benefit of being alone is that quiet space. So again, in that quiet space, you're going to be able to hear your inner voice. You're going to start to be able to feel what it's like to just be in your thoughts, which can be super overwhelming if you're not good at that or if that's uncomfortable for you. But that quiet time is going to be so beneficial. Number three, another benefit of being alone is that it strengthens your internal communication. Now, this is really important. If you're not the kind of person that talks to yourself, I want to encourage you to start. And you can start that internal conversation by first getting alone, getting quiet, getting some clarity, and listening to what comes up. Because you do have an internal guide. You have a conscience, you have a gut reaction to things, you have intuition. And in order to strengthen those skills and strengthen those tools, you have to use them. And the only way you can get to that toolbox is by being alone. But once you get to that point where you can start strengthening that internal communication, it'll be easier to identify the difference between the noise and the chaos outside of you and the internal knowing within you. And that's so very important to have that differentiation. Number 4, another benefit of alone time is that it reconnects you with your purpose. Right now it's January and everyone's thinking about New Year's resolutions and how they can jumpstart their new self, right? Well, I'm here to tell you the more important thing you can do with your time, the better use of your mental energy, is reconnecting with your purpose, with what you're already here to do, with what's important to you. And self-care is all about how you can figure out what is important to you and make that happen no matter what. Do it when you don't want to, stop the procrastinating and get to the purpose of what makes you feel on fire, what gets you jazzed, what wakes you up every day. Find that, make that the priority, no matter what it is, no matter how weird, obscure, no matter if people tell you this is a waste of your time, you're going to lose your money. Don't listen to the outside world or their opinions. They don't know you. They don't know what's important to you. You do. And if you don't, get some alone time this weekend and start to figure that shit out. Number 5, the last benefit of being alone is that you're going to be practicing setting boundaries and following through. So we've talked about this before on the podcast, but it's so important that it bears repeating. And that is that in order for self-care to become your natural default, in order for you to manage yourself better, you're going to have to get good at setting boundaries and practicing follow through. And setting aside some alone time each week is really going to help you to practice that. And the more practice you have at setting boundaries, no, I can't help you do that. No, I'm not available for that project. This is not the direction I want the business to go. I'd rather be focused on this, that, or the other. Whatever it is, being alone is a good way to practice setting the boundary and following through. Because when that scheduled alone time comes up, you're going to take the alone time whether or not you feel like doing it, because the previous you, the you who is deciding to live intentionally and go forward with more purpose in their life, made the decision to take alone time. You need to honor that version of yourself by following through and actually taking the alone time. Okay, so that begs the question of, what if it's really hard to get alone time? What if I can't seem to squeeze another second out of my day, Chris? What if I can't do that? Well, I've got 5 tips on how you actually can get more alone time. Number 1, the most important thing you can do is to schedule it. You've got to put it on a calendar. You've got to make it a non-negotiable. It has to be just as important as your meetings for work, your doctor's appointments, your kids' school stuff, whatever it is, you have to make you as important as everything else. You're able to schedule other things and keep those appointments, even if you don't want to or feel like it at the time. You follow through on that. Why not apply that to yourself? You deserve it. Number 2, another way to get more alone time is to delegate. And believe me, I am personally working with this right now, and it is just a little overwhelming, friends. Delegation is really hard, right? Especially if you're in love with what you're doing, you're passionate about what you're doing, and you want your hand in everything you're doing. But you're going to have to let go and let others do some help. You're going to have to delegate the tasks, right? Everything you want to accomplish in your life and everything you have to do to make life go, you don't have to be the only person doing those things. You can pick people you trust and love and let go of some responsibilities. Get the kids to help pitch in with chores, even if they've never done it before and you're afraid they're going to break dishes or do something wrong. Get your spouse, who might not be all that keen or involved in the family matters, to do more around the house, to allow for that alone time. Ask someone who's got professional skills to help you with parts of the business or parts of your life that are unmanageable for you. Whatever it is, you've got to start learning how to ask for help by delegating. Number 3, another way to get some more alone time is to do the short bursts. And it's just as effective as those long stretches. So alone time might look like a hike in